Testing, testing, testing. One, two, three. We are in.
All right. Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about language and the gift of it, what it can give us, what it really means. And I want to come back to the whole idea of mysticism. What is mysticism? It's a bridge between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And so everything that we see in our lives, everything really, is it's a gift from the subconscious. We can look at certain signs and portents throughout the day, the black cat crossing the road, but far more than that, just the language that we speak, the language that we habitually come back to. It's like our subconscious is trying to tell us something. So I want to welcome David back to the show. Good to see you, David.
Good to see you, Jasper. Always great to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, man. So yeah, let's get stuck in with some words that kind of mean something to us.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, I mean, do you have anything? I know that you were. I remember one time you were talking about wonderful, and
Yeah, yeah.
some time ago.
I mean, there's a lot of those words. Just, I think my interpretations tend to be a little more literal than yours, but still quite stunning and beautiful. Like
Mm,
awesome and
mm,
wonderful. Even the word awe, I feel like when you say it, your jaw drops open, and it kind of it feels like almost onomatopoeia, like bang or splash. Ah, you feel that word, and full of wonder, full of awe, and awful and awesome. They carry a lot of weight.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they do. They really do. Yeah, something that's been hitting me a lot lately is the word ill. Like ill for illness.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that this is the be all and end all interpretation of the word ill, but if we think about the abbreviation of I will, which is I'll, I apostrophe double L, and and yeah, and this is kind of sunk its teeth into me somewhere deep inside, and it's not letting go. It's sort of saying, look, explore this.
Right.
And I've through an act of my own will, my own kind of ego will, I suppose. I've tried to do many things over the years, and if I think about it, particularly when things haven't been working and I've refused to kind of give up and I've just continued and continued through this, I will do it. Um, I would have often found myself getting stressed out over it. And, when we actually come back and look at who am I? What is this I? This I is it's really just awareness, the real I, the capital I. I like to think of the capital I and the little I. The capital I is like a vertical line with the horizontal lines at the top and the bottom. And for me, that represents fully embodied awareness throughout the body. And the little I is a dot and then a separate line beneath it, which represents the separate head and the separate body, somehow disconnected from each other. And it's like the idea of I will do this or I will do that seems to be coming from my head, kind of, it's sort of trying to rally the troops down in the body and say, right, I will do this, and there's kind of nothing wrong with that, but I think that I certainly see that for me and some people that I know as well, and I think in great literature and in myth, often when we focus too much on something, it can stress us out, it can actually
Hmm.
separate us from life, and it can make us ill. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
I get
yeah,
that. Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. And with that, with the instructions you see all around from the masters that I myself, I do nothing. There is no doer. And it's yeah, it makes you question what that I will is going to be.
yeah.
So definitely if it's that little I with the separate dot above it, that is going to cause the illness. It's not going to be whole.
That's right. That's right. And when the I is like the capital I, it doesn't. It's present. It's not thinking about
Mhm.
I will do this or I will do that.
Right.
So yeah, I think this is I like this one. It's a good one, and
Hmm.
that kind of leads you on to devil. You know, the word devil, because in that word DEV, Dave is God, right? So it's like God ill, you know. So that's kind of that's sort of interesting. Again,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is. I, I I really want to put it out there to our audience that you know
Uh-huh.
words are just pointers, and we
Uh-huh.
shouldn't get too attached to meanings, because you know different people can interpret them in different ways according to what works for them.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's interesting that
Yeah.
Dave ill. You know, it's who knows? Maybe it could mean that it's the idea of God, which is everything and nothing, and you know all that is right now, and somehow in a partially realized state, in a little I state of that, it's kind of you know it thinks the devil's said to be the ruler of the world, you know, the demiurge,
Hmm.
and you know and the world is really just an illusion. It's just doesn't really exist. So
Yes.
who knows? Maybe devil is really is ill God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I
Mm.
mean, and for me, one of the things I noticed years ago about, I'm not sure how I noticed it, but I did. I noticed something about diet and food,
Mm.
because
Mm.
you get there's all these different concepts about what's the right diet, what's a healthy diet, what's this. But one thing I got a real good, strong gut feel for is if we really feel like our food is important and, in a sense, sacred, and and so it's constituting our physical body. So how much more important could it be as far as things in the world are going? Once we just take that attitude
Mm.
and kind of make our food sanctified and honored and important and holy, I think we've done most of the things necessary for a good diet.
Yeah. And maybe we even have to change that word and take the die out of diet.
Exactly, exactly. Take the dye out of the diet, right? Because that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right, does it?
Right. You know,
Yeah.
because this is, I think, again, this, you know, mysticism for me, it's so cool. It's so practical
Hmm.
because it's just, you know, I've been in my life like kind of really polarized, really schizophrenic of having like, you know, going totally into the, you know, the almost like the dreamlike, imaginary kind of emotional side of things, which is not rational at all. But then having a really masculine, rational mind that wants to understand the shit out of everything, and somehow you know mysticism puts them together so that the conscious mind, the rational side, goes well, you know what, that's true. There is a part of me that every time I say that word diet is kind of hearing the word die, you know. I wonder what that is, how that's being received in my body. Maybe it's not being received well.
Hmm.
It's worth these are questions I feel that are worth asking.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And the reason I was saying that is, the just to make sure that the point was made,
Yeah.
making the food we take in holy and important and sacred. I think the analogous is understanding that the words we speak and the words we use are holy and sacred, and they are magical. So
Yeah.
we need to, uh, I mean, it behooves us to pay attention to that magic of what, especially the words that we're uttering without thinking too much about them. If they're kind
Yeah.
of coming out from a program inside us,
I
it'd
got
be a
you.
good thing
Yeah.
to have a look at. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that clarification. Yeah, I think there are so many cool words out there. I mean, I was looking at COVID-19, and I checked out, you know, what does that acronym mean? Because it's obviously an acronym, and it
Mhm.
means corona, so CO, virus, VI, and then D is disease, so coronavirus disease. And these have been around for ages, right? You know, but it was this word was only coined in 2019, 2020. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. Why wasn't it used before? And 19 as well. 19 is an interesting number. I'm a numerologist and, very interested in the tarot as well. And 19 in numerology is a karmic number. It's karmic numbers mean that there's that there's a potential for some kind of baked in kind of imbalance or difficulty there. It's like it indicates a difficulty that we have to overcome. So 19 in numerology, 1 plus 9 equals 10, and then 1 plus 0 equals 1. So 19 is like a 1 number, and 1 is like the kind of me, it's the self, it's kind of new beginnings. And its best, guys, it can be positivity and confidence and leadership. And its worst, guys, it can be dictatorial, it can be selfish. It can also be afraid and wimpy and not able to step into one's power. So in numerology, 19 represents that possibility for imbalance around the number 1. It's more difficult to access the holy aspect of the 1, which is just, I have my power, but I don't want to put it onto other people, or I'm feeling threatened and I have enough confidence to step into my power. So there's something baked into that 19 that is there's some potential for skullduggery there. Also in so again, number 1 being the beginning, the start, it's me, it's the self, and 9 is the end. 9 is like the highest possibility that humans can aspire to, which is compassion. So it's a bit like the 19, which resolves as the 1, is like, okay, we're putting the self before compassion to make the self again, So if it was 91, it would be the other way around. We're putting compassion first, then we're bringing in the self, the necessary bit of self, because we don't want to be, too kind of compassionate because maybe we're not focused enough. So a 91 one is like, you could say it's really good, air quotes, but a 19 one, we're putting the self first, then we're adding, okay, a bit of compassion, and then we're bringing it back to the self.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And foreboding a little bit too.
Well, as you know, I know you have an interest in the tarot as well, and 19 is the sun card, and so this is really interesting because the sun is the number 1, right? Sun is really it's the most important energetic body in our solar system. Without it, everything else dies. It's the primary masculine influence. 1 is the masculine. So it's very interesting. So as I said in a previous video about the major arcana of the tarot, the sun, until it goes through judgment and really, learns to not be selfish, we can look at the sun archetype, the 19 archetype, as Lucifer, as this, the shining one that still kind of wants to control, that is prepared to worship God, but doesn't want to worship, refuses to worship man, or humans. And that's like in us. It's, I've found myself in this situation many times where, and we all have, there's some worry inside and we don't want that worry. I'm not prepared to worship that, or I'm not prepared to allow it into my, into the fullness of my awareness right now. I don't like that part of me, I'll worship this perfect idea of God, but I won't worship the worry, or I won't worship the fear,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. So, I think that, so coming back to COVID-19, it could just be this coronavirus disease, which was discovered in 2019. But I think what our subconscious is telling us from looking at that, first of all, the 19, like we've just done, but then also looking at COVID. I mean, there are 2 ways that I can take a deep dive on that. There's cove and id. And cove, we could say, is cover or covert. So it's something which is hidden. And then id is the like the Freudian it principle, the most animal aspect of us. He has the id, the ego, and the superego. So the id is like the real animal part of us that just wants immediate gratification. If it's particularly when we're under threat, you know. So if we're under threat, we want, you know, we'll take the poke, you know, to take away our fear. So that's the id. So when you've got cove, which is covert, id, the you know the pleasure principle, the reactive principle, and 19 Lucifer, you know, it's that's a little interesting.
That is a little interesting.
Yeah, and then we've also got co and vid, and co is together, right? And vid is like this is like Latin for video is I see, so you
Mhm.
know vid is see, so it's together see Lucifer, you know.
Okay.
Or if you know if you don't want to bring Lucifer, and if you think I'm stretching this too far, then at least 19, you know, 19 is fully accepted in numerology as a, you know, it's based around the number one, which is the self, but it's either the weak self, the wimpy self, which just capitulates to other people and lets itself be dominated, or it's the dominator. You know, that's what the 19 is.
Mm.
So I think,
So could you say the solution to the COVID-19 riddle is to see together the fact of the two aspects of the undeveloped eye?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, but brilliant, because we always want solutions, don't we? You know, we it's like it's all very well pointing these things out, but that's the gift of the subconscious, this mysterious feminine part of us, whether we're a man or a woman. It's giving us clues, and our conscious mind kind of has to solve them, has to solve the riddle as best as possible, and you know, and sort of and go beyond it. So absolutely that I'd say, you know, we came out of the 1900s, the 20th century, which was this crazy kind of Luciferian time. This, you know, all the world wars and the terrible wars, and you know, the dictators and people starting to believe wholesale in gurus. You know, it was totally about this 19-1, this out of balance kind of self sort of thing was coming through. And now we're in the 20s. 20 is judgment. So it's like, okay, we've got this Lucifer, or this sun potential inside of us, all of us, you know, this ability to make our own choices. But how are we choosing to use that in the world? How are we choosing to wield that ability in the world? That's where we're at right now. And of course, COVID happened in 2020, which is
Mhm.
judgment. So yeah, absolutely.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Cool.
yeah, very cool. Very.
Yeah, man.
I'm chewing on that COVID solution. I like that. It
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And it's so playful, isn't it? Because it's like it's something that, again, if we get too much into the rational mind, we're just going to dismiss it. We're going to
Hmm.
really dismiss it and say, you know, come on, get back to the real world. And the real world for the conscious mind is not the real world at all. It's just the world of like isolated concepts. The real world is I have to go to work. I have to pay the mortgage. I have to think about what I'm going to do in this presentation. And meanwhile, the real world is kind of like the feeling of your bum on the seat, and your, you know, the you know, the feeling of your clothing on your body, and the light and the sounds, and bang, this immediate formless sensory experience right now. But the real world to the conscious thinking mind, which is disembodied from the subconscious, is the world of concepts, the world of ideas. Totally
Right.
not the real world, completely not the real world. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Cool.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Wonderful.
Awesome, bro. Well, I'm trying to think just before we sign off, because I just want to give our audience like just a sort of an introduction into the power of language.
Hmm.
Um, whether I tell you what, there's another thing that came up for me, which was man, the word man,
Hmm.
because the word man contains the word like ma, right? And ma is the mother, isn't it? So it's sort of interesting. It's like, I know some feminists, they don't like the idea that man is used to represent humanity, you know.
Right.
But I kind of think as woman, as womb man, you know, woman is like womb man. So man is like, okay, from a maybe going back into history, um, we've gone through patriarchal times, and just as the Son of God, the SUN of God, became the SON of God, whereas really the SUN of God in me and you and all of our listeners is our point of awareness. It can come through a woman's body or a man's body, or anything in between. Um, so yeah, I this idea of man, um, it's yeah, to me it kind of speaks with this ma inside of it as being birthed from the mother, from the Holy Spirit, from the Holy Ghost, which is the energy, which is the feminine.
Mm.
It's not, man is not, we're not called fan, right? It's like far is like the, or pa is
Mm-hmm.
the, we're not called pan, we're not
Mm-hmm.
called fan, we're called man. And it
Mm-hmm.
and it's got this ma in
Right,
there.
right, right,
I
right.
to,
Mother,
to me that,
matter. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, mater, which is the mother, which is matter. Yeah, yeah. Same as the master. The master contains that mother word. It's the master being the mast of a ship, the
Mm-hmm.
eye that's like that's fully present throughout the body. That's the master. It's like the eye is present in the body, in the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, you feel that's a bit tenuous, or how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, that gives the mouth anything with the N at the end, where that N closure.
Yeah,
Anything that you're feeling about that, man?
we have
Oh,
manna,
mm-hmm.
manna in the Bible, I suppose. Manna is like manna from heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There's some, yeah. There's something about the word though, man and woman, where they
yes,
maybe just because we've said them so long, but they some words to me resonate like a mantra, like an om, like a
yeah,
it really feels like a vibrational thing that's being put out more than other words. Um, and man and woman, to me, that they have that feeling to them, where
mm,
you're ringing some cosmic bell every time you say that word.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Me too. I think that the word man is very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Very powerful. I think, we have like human. Man really is, I think it's consciousness. Man is, that's what it is. It's like it's born from, it's kind of like awareness, which isn't as yet born, it's unborn. But so man is kind of like consciousness, which is born out of the Holy Spirit, out of the Great Mother.
Mm-hmm.
Maya in the Vedic tradition, Maya is like, okay, it's thought of as the illusion, but it's only an illusion when we're looking at it with our conscious mind and separating out different aspects of it and thinking that it's real as an external reality.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's not an illusion at all. It's just this beautiful, undifferentiated ocean of energy. So it's like it's Maya, Ma again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's beautiful. I think that somehow, our forebears, they understood this, or maybe they didn't completely understand it, but the import of it came out of their subconscious, honoring
Mm-hmm.
Ma, honoring the Great Mother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. I feel that. I just feel that power and that at some point, or in many points in languages all around the world, I think it began with those internal vibrations which were connected to what the thing was,
Mm.
and they're still somehow ringing now
Yeah,
after all this time.
yeah,
Yeah, very cool.
yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Well, cool, everybody. Well, it's been great connecting with you, David, and
Yeah.
yeah, be good to check in with you next time.
Yeah, great. Thank you for having the chat again, Jasper. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.